She was 20 years old, blind, and completely alone. The kind of person society stops seeing even when they're right in front of you. Huddled on a sidewalk with a white cane and a cardboard sign that most people pretended not to read. 6 years on the streets. 3 failed foster homes before that. Parents dead since she was 14. No family. No future. No one looking for her. And in less than 12 hours, 7 of the most dangerous men in Riverside would owe her their lives. Not because she asked for anything. Not because she wanted to be a hero. But because she heard something in the dark that no one else could hear, and she made a choice that should have gotten her killed. This is the story of how 4 whispered words at a red light changed everything. How a blind homeless girl became the one person 7 Hells Angels would die to protect. And it starts with a girl who thought she was nobody, when she was actually the only one brave enough to stand in the fire. The rain hit the pavement like 1,000 tiny fists. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in late November, and the streets of downtown Riverside were as empty as they ever got. Most people were asleep. Most people were safe. But Lena Hart wasn't most people. She sat on the cold concrete outside Rico's diner, her back pressed against the brick wall, her white cane resting across her lap. She was 20 years old, blind since birth, and had been homeless for the past 6 years. The city was her prison, and sound was her only window to the world. She could hear the hum of the streetlights, the distant rumble of a freight train, the shuffle of a rat near the dumpster 20 feet away. But tonight, she heard something else. 3 voices. Low, urgent, dangerous. They were standing near the alley across the street, just beyond the glow of the neon sign that flickered above the pawn shop. She didn't know their names yet. She didn't need to. She could hear the tension in their words, the weight of what they were planning. One of them said it clearly, almost too clearly, like he wanted to be heard. 7 bikes. Red light at 5th and Main. 3:10 a.m. We hit them fast. Take out iron first, the rest scatter. Another voice, rougher, meaner. What if they don't stop? They will. It's a red light. They always stop. Lena's chest tightened. 7 bikes. Iron. She knew who that was. Calmatics. They called him Iron because nothing broke him. He led a group of bikers who rode through Riverside every week. Hells Angels patches on their vests. Engines roaring like thunder. They weren't criminals. They were protectors. They shut down drug dealers near the elementary school. They escorted women home at night. They bought food for people like her. 3 weeks ago, Cal had bought her breakfast. Eggs, toast, coffee. He didn't ask her story. He didn't pity her. He just sat with her for 10 minutes in silence, then rode off. It was the first kindness she'd felt in years. And now someone wanted him dead. Lena's fingers curled around her cane. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. She had no phone, no weapon, no way to warn them. And if she did, if she stepped into this, the men planning the ambush would know. They would come for her. She had survived 6 years on these streets by staying invisible, by keeping her head down, by never, ever getting involved. But she could still hear Cal's voice from that morning. Calm, steady, human. She took a breath, then another. The men across the street were moving now. She could hear their boots on the asphalt, the click of something metallic. Guns, maybe, or knives. They were heading toward 5th and Main. Lena stood. Her legs shook. She didn't know if she'd make it in time. She didn't know if they'd even listen. But she started walking. What happened next saved 7 lives and destroyed hers. The intersection of 5th and Main was 4 blocks away. Lena moved as fast as she dared, her cane sweeping side to side, her breath coming in short bursts. She knew this route. She'd walked it 100 times. Left at the corner. Straight for 2 blocks. Right at the gas station. But tonight, every step felt like walking off a cliff. She could hear the rumble now. Deep. Growling. Getting closer. The bikes. 7 of them, just like the man said. They were heading toward the light. She broke into a run. Her cane clattered against a trash can, and she stumbled, catching herself on a lamppost. Her hands were shaking. The engines were louder now. Closer. She could smell the exhaust, the leather, the oil. They were stopped. The light must have turned red. She had seconds. Lena stepped off the curb, into the street. She didn't know if she was in front of them or beside them. She just moved toward the sound. Her cane hit something solid. Warm. A leg. Someone grabbed her wrist. Firm, but not rough. A voice. Deep. Familiar. Whoa, easy. You okay? It was him. Cal. Lena's throat closed up. She couldn't breathe. She opened her mouth, and the words came out in a whisper, barely loud enough to hear over the idling engines. Run. It's a trap. Silence. The kind that weighs 1,000 pounds. Cal didn't let go of her wrist. She felt him lean closer. Say that again. Her voice cracked. 3 men. Guns. They're waiting for you. Allie on the left. They said your name. They said 310. They said... She didn't get to finish. Cal's voice cut through the air like a blade. Move. Now. The engines roared. All 7 bikes exploded forward, blasting through the red light in a wave of sound and fury. Tires screamed. Horns blared. And then, from the alley, she heard it. Shouting. Confusion. The ambush collapsing. Lena stood there, frozen in the middle of the intersection, her cane still raised, her heart hammering in her chest. She'd done it. They were alive. But she wasn't safe. Not even close. If she was wrong, 7 men would die anyway. If she was right, she wouldn't survive the day. Before we continue this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Because what happens next isn't just about Lena. It's about what happens when you do the right thing in a world that punishes you for it. And if you've ever felt invisible, ever felt like your voice didn't matter, you need to hear how this ends. Lena Hart wasn't supposed to be on the streets. She was supposed to be in college, maybe studying music or literature, something that let her live inside the world she could only hear. But life didn't care about what was supposed to happen. Her parents died when she was 14. Drunk driver. Head-on collision. She was in the back seat. She survived without a scratch, but she lost the only 2 people who ever saw her as more than her blindness. The state put her in foster care. 3 different homes in 2 years. The first family treated her like a burden. The second locked her in her room when guests came over. The third just forgot about her altogether. At 16, she ran. She'd rather be homeless than invisible in a house full of people. The streets were brutal, but at least they were honest. She learned fast. She learned which corners were safe, which alleys to avoid, which voices meant danger. She learned that most people would walk right past her, and the ones who didn't usually wanted something. But she also learned that some people, rare people, still had kindness left in them. Cal Maddox was one of those people. He wasn't a saint. He'd done time when he was younger, made mistakes, carried scars he didn't talk about. But somewhere along the way, he decided that protecting people mattered more than proving how tough he was. His crew felt the same. Rook, the youngest, barely 25, with a laugh that could fill a room. Diesel, built like a mountain, soft-spoken, always fixing something. Hawk, sharp-eyed, quick-witted, the one who saw trouble before it arrived. Bones, the medic, who'd patched up more bar fights than he could count. Mason, the enforcer, loyal to a fault. Eli, the quiet one, who rode in the back and never said more than he had to. And then there was Cal, Iron, the man who held them all together. They weren't a gang. They were a family. And they rode through Riverside like a shield, protecting the people the system forgot. Lena had seen them before, heard them, felt the vibration of their engines as they passed. But that morning 3 weeks ago was different. She was sitting outside Rico's diner, same as always, her sign propped against the wall. Blind. Homeless. Anything helps. God bless. Most people ignored it. Kel didn't. He pulled up on his bike, a black and chrome beast that purred like a predator. He didn't say anything at first. Just walked into the diner, ordered 2 breakfasts, came back out, and sat down next to her on the curb. He handed her a foam container. Warm. Heavy. She could smell eggs, butter, toast. You eat yet? He asked. His voice was rough, but not unkind. Lena shook her head. Thank you, she whispered. They sat in silence for 10 minutes. He didn't ask her story, didn't pity her, didn't try to fix her. He just sat. When he left, he put a $20 bill in her hand and said, Stay safe, kid. That was it. But it was enough. It was the first time in years someone treated her like a person. And now, someone wanted to kill him. Victor Kane didn't look like a monster. That was the problem. He looked like a businessman. Clean-shaven. Expensive watch. Tailored jacket. He owned 3 legitimate businesses in Riverside, a car wash, a laundromat, and a used car lot. But everyone knew what he really did. Drugs. Extortion. Protection rackets. He didn't get his hands dirty. He paid people for that. People like Razor Cole, his enforcer, a man with dead eyes and a smile that made your skin crawl. And Silas Cruz, the planner, the one who mapped out every move, every angle, every risk. Kane had been expanding his territory for months, pushing into neighborhoods that didn't want him. But there was a problem. The bikers. Cal and his crew had been shutting down his street dealers, scaring off his runners, making it clear that Riverside wasn't his playground. Kane wanted them gone. Not arrested. Not scared off. Gone. So he planned an ambush. Simple. Clean. Efficient. Silas picked the spot. 5th and Main. Red light. Perfect line of sight from the alley. Razor picked the crew. 3 men. All armed. All expendable. The plan was supposed to be flawless. But they didn't account for one thing. A blind girl with nothing to lose. Lena didn't go back to her corner that night. She couldn't. She stood at the intersection for a long time after the bikes roared away, listening to the chaos fade into the distance. She knew what she'd done. She knew what it meant. The men in the alley had heard her. They'd seen her, or at least seen her outline, her cane, her trembling frame. They knew someone had warned the bikers, and it wouldn't take long for them to figure out who. She started walking. Not toward Rico's. Not toward anywhere familiar. Just away. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her cane. She turned down an unfamiliar street, then another, her sense of direction unraveling. She was lost. For the first time in years, she was completely, terrifyingly lost. And then she heard footsteps behind her. Heavy, deliberate, getting closer. Her breath caught. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The footsteps stopped. A voice. Low, calm, deadly. You got a big mouth for someone who can't see. It was Razor. She knew it before he even spoke again. She'd heard his voice in the alley, the roughness, the meanness. He grabbed her by the arm, hard enough to bruise, and shoved her against the wall. Her cane clattered to the ground. You cost us a lot of money tonight, he said. His breath smelled like cigarettes and something sour. You cost us something a lot more valuable than money. You made us look weak. Lena tried to speak, but her voice wouldn't come. Razor leaned closer. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to disappear. No one's going to find you. No one's going to care. And if those bikers come looking, we'll handle them too. He let go of her, and she crumpled to the ground. She heard him walk away, his boots echoing down the alley. She sat there, shaking, her hands pressed against the cold pavement. She wanted to cry, but she didn't. She'd stopped crying years ago. What she didn't know was that Cal was already looking for her. Cal didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. He kept replaying the moment at the intersection. The girl. The warning. The timing. He'd been riding long enough to know when something didn't add up. And this didn't add up. How did a homeless blind girl know about an ambush? How did she know his name? How did she know exactly when and where it was going to happen? He asked around. Talked to Rook, to Diesel, to Hawk. None of them had seen her before, except Cal. And that's when it clicked. She'd been there. Outside Rico's. For months. Maybe longer. She'd heard something. And she'd risked everything to warn them. Cal pulled out his phone and called Bones. Find her. Who? The girl. Blind. White cane. Usually outside Rico's. Find her. Now. It took 6 hours. 6 hours of riding through every alley, every corner, every place someone might hide. And when they finally found her, she was barely conscious. She was curled up behind a dumpster in an alley off 7th Street, soaking wet, shivering, her cane snapped in half beside her. Cal knelt down next to her. Her face was bruised. Her lip was split. Someone had hurt her. "Hey," he said softly. "You with me?" Her eyes didn't open, but she flinched at his voice. "It's okay," he said. "It's Cal. You remember me." Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Cal looked up at Bones. "Get the truck. Now." He picked her up, careful not to jostle her too much, and carried her to the street. She weighed almost nothing. She didn't fight, didn't speak, just shivered in his arms like a broken bird. Cal had lost a daughter once. Years ago. Overdose. He'd tried to save her, tried to pull her out of the darkness, but he'd failed. He wasn't going to fail again. Lena woke up in a bed. A real bed. Soft. Warm. Clean. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Or dead. She reached out, her fingers brushing against a blanket, a pillow. She heard voices nearby. Low. Careful. She's awake. Footsteps. Then a voice she recognized. "Cal, hey. Easy. You're safe." Safe. The word felt foreign. "Where am I?" she asked. Her throat was raw. "Clubhouse," Cal said. "You've been out for about 12 hours. Bones checked you over. You're banged up, but you'll be okay." Lena sat up slowly, her head spinning. She didn't understand. "Why?" Cal was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You saved our lives. You think we were just going to leave you out there?" "I'm nobody," she whispered. "You're not," Cal said firmly. "Not to us." And that's when she started to cry. Not because she was scared, not because she was hurt, but because for the first time in 6 years, someone saw her. Really saw her. If you think Lena did the right thing, even knowing the cost, comment, "She's brave." Let's see who still believes courage matters. The next few days were a blur. Lena stayed at the clubhouse, a sprawling old warehouse the crew had converted into their headquarters. It wasn't fancy, but it was solid. Safe. Warm. They gave her a room in the back. Small, but hers. She learned the space by sound and touch, memorizing every corner, every doorway, every step. She met the rest of the crew properly. Rook, who made her laugh for the first time in years. Diesel, who fixed her cane and reinforced it with metal so it wouldn't break again. Hawk, who taught her the layout of the building so she could move around independently. Bones, who checked her injuries every